When John Gotti came to power in 1985, organized crime still had its tentacles spread into many legitimate businesses. Like a game of chess, crime bosses were well insulated by layers of pawns. The FBI's job was to penetrate their defenses and capture the king.
He told the whole world what he was. I'm a mobster. I kill people for money. I do whatever I want. The law doesn't apply to me. And instead of being condemned for it, he was celebrated.
Gotti took charge of what's called the Gambino crime family shortly after his reputed predecessor was gunned down.
He was Moby Dick in the organized crime world. Everybody wanted to prosecute John Gotti.
In New York, the Gotti trial is the hottest show off Broadway.
On the electric streets of New York City, where the vibrant pulse of life never ceases, is a mafia empire built on fear, loyalty, and ruthless ambition, and the mastermind behind this sinister realm is a charismatic but violent leader. In today's true crime story, we uncover the chilling saga of John Gotti, the infamous Dapper Don. With his sharp suits and magnetic smile, Gotti captivated the public, but behind the allure lay a violent path to power. Join us as we dig deep into the underworld of New York, tracing Gotti's journey from his modest beginnings to his reign over the nation's most powerful crime syndicate. John Joseph Gotti Jr., born on October 27, 1940, in the Bronx borough of New York City, was one of 13 children. His family's life was one of hardships and poverty, as his father, a day laborer, struggled to provide for such a large family.
He often went to school with mismatched shoes, had ragged clothes, nothing matched, and that the other kids made fun of him, tried to bully him.
This upbringing had a major impact on young John. When John was 12 years old, the Gotti family moved to East New York, Brooklyn, a neighborhood notorious for producing mobsters. It was in this environment that John's path into the criminal underworld began. After dropping out of school at 16, he quickly became involved with street gangs, participating in theft and carrying out tasks for local mafia members. Gotti's first encounter with serious crime resulted in a lifelong limp after a failed attempt to steal a cement mixer crushed his toes.
Later on, he had this peculiar springy walk, which made him look very tough, but at the time was an example of his incompetence.
While a member of the Fulton Rockaway Boys gang, he forged close friendships with Angelo Ruggiero and Wilfred Willie Boy Johnson, who would later become vital partners in his criminal endeavors. Gotti's activities also attracted the notice of Carmine Fatico, a capo in the Gambino crime family, which at the time was under the ruthless leadership of Albert Anastasia. By the early 1960s, he was deeply involved in mafia operations, collaborating with his brothers and associates to commit truck hijackings and other crimes. His ascent within the Gambino family was rapid and unavoidable. By the 1970s, John Gotti had become a key player in the Gambino crime family, the biggest and most powerful criminal organization in New York. Gotti learned the inner workings of the mob through Della Croce's guidance, gaining experience in racketeering, loan sharking, and extortion. Gotti's personal life was as turbulent as his rise in the criminal world. He subsequently married Victoria DiGiorgio in 1962. Despite his growing power within the mafia, Gotti attempted to maintain a facade of normalcy, but his frequent stints in prison and violent tendencies inevitably affected his family life. A significant turning point in his criminal career took place when he organized the assassination of James McBratney, a mobster who had kidnapped and slayed a Gambino family member. On May 22, 1973, Gotti, accompanied by Angelo Ruggiero and Ralph Gallioni, entered Snoopy's Bar and Grill on Staten Island, posing as police officers to abduct McBratney.
With John Gotti in jail, it was up to his wife Victoria to keep the family together. So she would get all the kids together and visit him behind bars.
Upon his release in 1977, he immediately returned to his criminal activities with increased determination and a higher standing within the Gambino family. However, there was another rising star in the Mafia group upon his return. His name was Paul Castellano. The problem was, Castellano viewed Gotti with suspicion and kept him at arm's length. Despite this, Gotti's influence grew, particularly among lower-ranking members who viewed him as a leader who better understood their concerns compared to the reclusive and business-oriented Castellano. The conflict between Gotti and Castellano escalated in the early 1980s. Castellano's leadership style, emphasizing white-collar crimes, clashed with Gotti's preference for more traditional mob activities. In 1984, Gotti's close associate, Angelo Ruggiero, was recorded on an FBI wiretap discussing heroin trafficking. This enraged Castellano, who had strictly prohibited drug dealing within the family due to the harsh legal repercussions. John Gotti, fed up with Paul Castellano's leadership and worried about Castellano discovering his crew's drug involvement, decided to take drastic measures with a simple plan that proved effective in the past.
At least 3 gunmen in New York City tonight
Shot and killed a man identified by police as Paul Castellano, reputed chief of the Gambino Mafia family.
On December 16, 1985, Gotti and his loyalists carried out the carefully orchestrated assassination of Paul Castellano. The hit took place at Sparks Steakhouse in Manhattan, where Castellano and his newly appointed underboss, Thomas Bilotti, were scheduled to meet. Gotti's men, disguised in trench coats and Russian fur hats, waited outside the restaurant. Among them were Sammy the Bull, Gravano, Frank DeCicco, and a team of hand-picked gunmen.
And the idea was that everybody would look the same, so any passers-by on the street could not really make a solid identification.
The moment Castellano and Bilotti stepped out of their car, the assassins swiftly closed in. Within seconds, the sound of gunshots filled the bustling Manhattan street. Witnesses later described the audacity of the attack, recounting how the killers casually walked away, vanishing into the city's commotion. Castellano's murder, being a high-profile figure, attracted intense media attention and a strong response from law enforcement. Gotti's boldness and the efficiency of the hit earned him the respect and fear of his peers, which is why, on January 15, 1986, Gotti was officially crowned the new boss of the Gambino crime family.
The man that succeeded him, or is believed to have succeeded him, was a man by the name of John Gotti.
So you think he's behind this?
Well, certainly I would think he heads the enforcement arm of the Gambino family, and certainly they'd have to consult with him.
As the new leader, Gotti was both revered and feared within the Mafia world, but just like most mob bosses, his high profile made him an irresistible target for law enforcement. The FBI intensified their efforts to bring down Gotti, launching Operation Ironbound and utilizing every available resource, including wiretaps and informants. Without him knowing, the FBI secretly recorded conversations where Gotti tried to deflect blame for several killings and other crimes onto his underboss, Sammy the Bull Gravano. These tapes exposed Gotti's disparaging remarks about Gravano, accusing him of being a loose cannon who acted on impulse. Recognizing an opportunity, the FBI played these tapes for Gravano, who felt deeply betrayed by the leader he greatly admired. Faced with the prospect of a life sentence, Gravano chose to become a government informant. In a groundbreaking move, he agreed to testify against Gotti and other key figures in the Gambino family. This decision was unprecedented, as Gravano was the highest-ranking Mafia member to break the code of silence, or omertà, and cooperate with authorities.
He's out there in everybody's face. I beat the government. They've got nothing on me. Reality was he bought the jury. Sammy Gravano paid a juror $60,000 to throw that case. And that's how he wins his case.
In March 1992, Gravano's testimony played a crucial role in Gotti's conviction. Over 9 days, Gravano provided detailed evidence of Gotti's involvement in various crimes, including the biggest one, Castellano's death. This testimony, along with the FBI's extensive surveillance and recorded conversations, resulted in Gotti being found guilty of slaying, racketeering, and countless other offenses. He received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. However, without a strong leader at the helm, the Gambino family's power started to decline as the FBI's relentless pursuit and internal disagreements weakened their operations. Gotti's health also deteriorated while in prison. On June 10, 2002, John Gotti passed away at the United States Medical Center for Federal Prisoners in Springfield, Missouri. His death signaled the end of an era for the Gambino family and for organized crime in New York City.
Like the video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more true crime tales that send shockwaves through societies. Thank you for watching.